Hi everyone, and welcome to another video here in our YouTube series. Today I want to talk to you about the minus hash parameter. If you read our recent blog post, The Smoking Gun, JC writes about this minus hash parameter and how it's affected our customers. And it's affected them so much that we actually created a very specific alert in ProTop just around this parameter, and we'll show that to you a bit later. So what is this parameter? What's the problem? In OpenEdge Explorer, in the web UI, there's some specific set of circumstances where that value is filled into the web UI and there's no way to get rid of it except to go and delete the value inside the conmanager.properties file. So let me show you a bit what happens and maybe how you can detect it in your environment. Alright, so what you have in front of you now is a beefed up sports database with 120 million vacation records. And why is that? It's because ProTop uses the vacation table for its rapid reader demo programs. So we'll fire up ProTop. Here we go, my big S2K database. So what do you see? Not much is going on right now in ProTop, right? There's nothing going on. So let's take a quick look at the configuration. Now, the only thing I've really changed here, minus B 100,000, right? It's 4K block size. So everything else I've left the default. This is OpenEdge 12.2. You can see LRU skips, minus spin, all set to the default values. The minus hash parameter is auto-calculated to be around 25% of the minus B. These are all automatic settings, and the hash latch factor 2, which is a new setting, set to the default value. All right, so what do I do next? I start 10 of my ProTop rapid reader processes. And what you can see here is that these rapid reader processes are reading the vacation table and index to the tune of 2-3 million reads per second. And I'm hitting all 8 CPUs, 100% user, let's go, 3 million plus reads per second. You can see I'm pushing data. And not a lot of latch wait activity. So lots of latch, LRU and BHT latch activity, but very, very little latch wait activity, which is really what we want in this kind of situation. All right, so you saw what it looks like when everything is normal. Now let's see what happens when this bug kicks in. So usually what happens is somebody puts the wrong value in minus B. So instead of putting 100,000, they put 1,000. And then the OpenEdge Explorer auto-calculates a low value for minus hash. The user fixes the minus B, never notices the minus hash because we never set that parameter. So here we're going to repeat the test, but we're going to set minus B instead of to be 25,000, we're going to set it to be around 250, right? So about 100 times lower, which is typical of what we see when this problem surfaces. And instead of 10 rapid reader processes, we're going to kick off 15 rapid reader processes. All right, so what do we have here? We've got the database restarted with a minus hash of 251. Everything else is the same, and we've got 15 rapid reader processes running here. So the first thing you're going to notice, 770 BHT latch waits. Through the roof on our BHT latch waits. It's absolutely crazy. And then the next thing you're going to notice here, 30% CPU idle time. What is going on? And we've got 15, not 10 of these rapid reader processes going. So why is it that we started 5 more rapid reader processes, but we've got 30% idle CPU on my 8 CPU box? Simple, because every time a process spins out on a latch, hits one of those BHT latch wait, it naps, right? So there's napping parameters built into OpenEdge. So, and those napping parameters get progressively longer and longer. So really what's happening is because they can't get the latch that they need, they go to nap and they said, let me try again in some milliseconds or even some seconds, depending on the parameters that are set. So how does ProTop show this to you? ProTop has a hash percentage alert that will generate a warning anytime hash percentage is less than 25% of the size of the minus B. That's our telltale sign that hash percentage is not set correctly. All right, so let's look at some of the historical data now. So first thing you're going to see, it's very clear when we did the regular test and then when we changed the minus hash, right? You're looking at any of these graphs, they all changed drastically. Database reads went from 3 million to about 1 million logical reads per second. Huge change in our database reads. And really across all the boards, if you go through all of the ProTop historical trend data, you're going to see all of these changes and how they're affected in the system, right? There's record reads, index reads, everything is dropping massively because what's happening is these processes are fighting to access the buffer hash table. Switching to the table activity, index activity screen in ProTop, same thing. You'll see vacation reads down from 1.5 million down below 1 million. So massive drops in all our metrics. You can see here in the latches trends dashboard, so our latch requests went down massively, but our latch weights went up massively. And then below that, when you look at our resources, so again, resource requests went down, but resource weights there at the bottom right, those did not actually go up all that much because the bottleneck is really one level higher at the buffer hash table. And now looking at CPU, so we showed you earlier, you can see in our first test, we were at 100% user CPU all the way. And then when we restarted the database with the minus hash 251, you can see here that CPU usage dropped drastically. And we had all this 30% odd idle CPU. And I'm sure I could add 5, 10, 20 more rapid readers. It really wouldn't move the needle that much because everyone is fighting to access that buffer hash table. All right, so let's finish off now with a real world example. This is the example that JC talks about in his smoking gun post. And you can see here, this customer, they had their rapid reader processes running, their business processes running. They were fighting through 1 million or so reads per second on the database, and they had buffer latch weights also through the roof. We made one small change. I mean, ProTop picked it up right away. As soon as we installed ProTop, that alert came up. We said, we've seen this before. We immediately scheduled a database restart, removed that minus hash from the conmanager.properties files, and you can see right away DB reads almost doubled right away. And then all the users' performance complaints went away because we got rid of that buffer hash table latch weight. All right, so you can see here how one very minor little UI bug in OpenEdge Explorer can have massive effects on your business. So you really have to watch out for that kind of thing. So what should you do? At the very least, if you're using something like OpenEdge Explorer, take a backup of your conmanager.properties file, your ubroker.properties file, back them up before you make the changes, and then after you make the changes, do a file compare, diff, whatever tools you want to use, and make sure that the changes that appear are the changes that you intended. Make sure there's no unintended changes to those files like this hash. And hash is not the only one. There's a couple more like that that could come and bite you, so watch out for those, all right? And if you don't want to do that, of course, ProTop does all of this automatically for you. It's built into ProTop monitoring and alerting. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like this. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the comment section, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.